Good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say good night till tomorrow.
Sleep dwell upon thine eyes, peace in thy breast. Would I were sleep and peace, so sweet to rest.
He's been called many things. Brilliant, ahead of his time, the immortal bard, or the world's most knowledgeable playwright. He's William Shakespeare. His works are timeless, and they're used in educational programs and professional theater the world over. You may add the complete works of Shakespeare from the sonnets to the tragedies and comedies to your library during a special offer from the Sun Radio Network. Just $19.95 plus $4 shipping and handling brings you this volume you are sure to treasure.
Chronic callers are people who have favorite hosts and sometimes try to help them out, or have hosts who are not favorites and try to sneak in and pull the rug out from underneath them, but always seem to be there, whether or not they have something to say. Like I said, sometimes they're the best callers, but we just need more new blood. And talk radio is something I've been crying about for a month now.
Not wanting to become a chronic caller, I have gotten to the point that I've only been allowing myself one call a week or every 2 weeks even. I haven't called you in ages.
I know, I appreciate that.
But I'm still out here listening.
Some other people, let me give you two examples. People who are constantly accused of calling my show and who police themselves unbelievably. I mean, to the point of like once a month or once every 6 weeks. And that would be TJ from Clearwater, who again has a very, very distinctive voice but calls every other show very frequently, or Carolyn from Newport Richey. Two women I have the greatest respect and admiration for, and two women who really are not chronic callers on Lassiter's show, but they are chronic callers on other shows.
Well, I don't get as offended by chronic callers, though they do get a little much sometimes. What has been driving me crazy lately, especially on your show, has been the screamers and the absolute idiots that have nothing to contribute. I don't mind an opposing view. It's totally and completely
my fault. It is totally and completely my fault because it goes back to one night about 2.5 years ago at WPLP when nothing worked, and I invented something called Chat with Bob. And Chat with Bob is hilarious. Chat with Bob is funny. Chat with Bob is stimulating for me, stimulating for much of the audience. I know some people don't like it. And once a year, it's a great idea. Unfortunately, it gave a lot of probably otherwise damn smart young people who just don't have anything better to do the wrong idea. It is completely my fault. I accept total responsibility for it, and I will do everything in my power to clean it up. Unfortunately, there are now some other people taking advantage of it because they don't quite understand what it's doing to their shows.
Right. Oh, well, you're still number one.
That miserable Carolyn from Newport Richey 3 days ago cut me to the quick. I mean, my heart is still bleeding and palpitating when she said something to the effect of, Bob, I have such great respect for you. I usually tune in every day to see what you're doing, but boy, when those screams start, I am gone. I can't live with that. I will not allow those punks to destroy me, my show, and my career. They are gone.
Well, I think a lot of us will be happy to hear that, but I don't know how you can screen them out.
I can dump them. That's what they call for, is to hear themselves.
That's true.
And, as far as that goes, you talk about screening them out, I'll be honest with you. I shouldn't tell you this, but I told Michael this week, I said anybody who sounds like they're under the age of 25 that we do not know for a fact, they don't get on for the foreseeable future. And if it's going to take raising it to 30, if it's going to take raising it to 35, if it's going to mean eliminating entire gender for a week, I will do it.
And boring them to death should help, too.
Thank you, Diane.
Bye-bye.
Don Richards standing by at the WFLE News Desk. Donald?
Bob, and
good afternoon. Peg, what are you doing to me? Why are you doing this to me, Peg?
Despite what you think, we do have other things to do. I had to take care of some business. I had to collect some money. I had to write receipts.
No, I was referring to last night on Eastman's show.
Oh, I hoped you were listening. That's why I said it. I thought, I bet you Bob's listening because he probably has some respect for Level and will listen to what he has to say. And, I love to get on other programs and bash other stations. It's fun. It's just like bashing other radio. If you had it, you don't do that, do you? You never bash anyone.
It's a different story, Peg.
No, it isn't. You're assigning the roles, and I will not accept the role that you're assigning me. Now, that's one of my beefs with the station, the way it's going. I think once in a while a chick or what are the other, fox or a bimbo? These are fine, but it's getting to the point where every female who comes up upon the scene is either a chick or a fox or a bimbo or a what have you. And it's getting to me, really getting to me. I heard one of your cohorts say the other day when he got that wonderful call from the car telephone. Gee, what's a chick doing with a car telephone? And it blew my mind, because this is why you do not have a preponderance of female callers. Because no matter how idiotic...
I beg your pardon, the person that you're talking about does have a preponderance of female callers. I don't...
Oh, you heard that. You heard that remark. Well,
it so happens I did. And it so happens that I basically agree with you, although you're being too hard. There's a great deal of truth in what you're saying, but it's not literally across the board, I don't think, is it?
It's getting more, it's growing and growing and growing, because you are the great innovator, the great one that people imitate, unfortunately sometimes, and fortunately in other times. And if you do it and it works, sooner or later somebody else is going to do it.
But wait a second, in terms of the foxes, obviously you're talking about the shtick between Gary McHenry and myself.
Now that's funny.
Well,
that is funny.
Of course it is, because it's Gary who's the brunt of the joke.
But
it's not the women, it's Gary. Gary's the loser.
But menses ain't funny.
What isn't funny?
Menses.
Menses?
No, that's got anything to do with wild kind of animals. All right, the menstrual periods are not funny.
Oh.
The before menstrual period syndrome. These things are not funny. And you are encouraging a bunch of male chauvinists. They have literally taken over.
I am?
Editorial you.
Okay.
Editorial you. But you see, you can do things that other people cannot do, or cannot do as well. And what it engenders is male chauvinism at its great self-serving worst put down of women in general.
Well, Peggy, again, I think there's a great deal of validity in what you're saying. However, you are a longtime crusader, almost... You're not militant by any stretch of the imagination, but almost
I can be.
Obsessed with women's rights. Are you
because
sure
women's
rights
women's rights are still way out of reach, and I hate
I talk about that all the time. I agree with you on that.
But I don't like. Yes, you agree, but in practicality, in working, everyday working, you are adding, perhaps unknowingly, to this audience reaction.
Okay, Peg. I will give it consideration over the weekend. And I promise. Just stop knocking me on Eastman's show, for God's sake.
Oh, but it's so much fun.
Take care, Peg.
Bye-bye.
Thank God Shanks doesn't have a gig anymore. 23. Coming up on the 2 o'clock hour, 4 more hours. Yes, count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Still to go.
When news happens...
I think when you say you're frustrated and you want to preserve your job, I fully agree. You don't want to go back to that garage in Davie and live above that horse stable.
Well, it was a garage. You're correct, but it wasn't in Davie. It was actually right off of Los Olas Boulevard. Even though it was a garage, it was a very fine neighborhood.
Los Olas, huh? Okay, but anyway, the point I'm making is you're right. But you know what, Bob? I think you got to do... I like Lionel. I think he does a great job. But 4 hours doing a remote from the cash and carry in Oldsmar, talking about what people got in their grocery bags. I mean, my God, come on. I think your production staff needs to be jacked up. And I'm going to say this flat out. You've got a great staff over there. You've got a lot of good newsmen. You've got the best news department I've heard in this kind of market in a long time. You've got good talk show hosts. And I frankly think the subjects are getting damn boring. Here we got oil spills in Valdez, Alaska. What would the impact be in Florida? I've yet to hear an expert brought on the show addressing that subject. Jim Wright is screwing the Democrat Party royally. I've yet to hear Democrat chieftains call on the show a good, lively debate discussion.
But you see, the problem is, Gino, I would think that with the right story, you'd have the conservatives just having a field day. Even they aren't touching it.
Somebody's got to lead them, Bob. I don't think, and I think they're smart ladies. Carolyn is very bright, TJ. But I don't care what their opinions are, to be honest with you. I'd like to hear some experts called in. I'd like a chance to bash.
You want more guests?
Huh?
You want more guests?
Well, yeah, that's it, more guests. You do great interviews. I love when you interview. You take these guys on.
Yeah, I think I do lousy interviews.
Well, you may think you do, but I think you get to the heart of the matter, you rip them open, and that's what we got to have. And I think that would engender more livelier discussions from the callers. Right now, it's in kind of a... I frankly think you have no competition. I listened the other day to try to tune in this guy Marvin, my gutty. They do... What do? Remotes every day from that Scott Buick? It's just horrible. That astrology lady, she talks a mile a minute. You can't understand what she's talking about. Listen, Eastman's not too bad. In fact, I caught that interview last night with the...
I think Eastman's going to do damn good at night. Eastman was a disaster in the daytime.
The politician
in the morning,
he was last night. That was kind of interesting, but... And I heard Peg bashing you a little. I don't know what her problem is with you. I guess she gets a little jealous once in a while about your... But I really wish you guys would get some more interviews. Get those... Kathy Good, she's a sharp producer. She knows ABC Today. Get some people, bring up some discussions. This area needs somebody to kind of stimulate some good, hard conversation. That's my 2 cents worth.
Let me tell you about some of the things I want to do. Once every... I don't think I've mentioned this on the air. Have I, Michael? Okay, Michael says no. About once every week and a half or 2 weeks, I want to go out locally with the old van and the old wireless microphone, and I want to do shows that I would have done in studio, out of studio, on location. As an example, if I wanted to talk about religion, I want to go and do it on the front steps of a church with a pastor there, so the people on their way home or whatever can come by and either just stand there and look or take part in the conversation. I want to do a show on gun control in front of a gun shop. I want to do a show on abortion in front of a pregnancy testing center. Does that sound like something that you think might be of interest? Some new blood, maybe, into the format?
That's good radio, but not too many more Bob Evans. I don't know.
No, I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I'm talking about, no commercial tie-in whatsoever. Just go to a place. And, another example might be, for example, let's say another example would be, for example, go to a Christian school to talk about evolution being taught in the classrooms. That's what I'm talking about.
I like it, Bob. I think that would engender some good, some good discussion. It doesn't have to be hard, by the way. But I frankly don't know what's wrong with the media in this town, and I'm going to lay it on FLA's boots because you got the staff to do it. There's a lot of corruptness. There's a lot of horrible things going on, and nobody is getting to the bottom of it. They had the mayor on the other day, but it was like playing pitty-patter with her. I'd like to see some good hard rock journalism. And
you can't get the mayor on if you're going to play hardball with her. She won't come.
Well...
I've tried and tried and tried.
Yeah.
No way.
Uh-huh.
They won't tell us no. They just keep putting us off and giving us excuses.
Well, I think that's what's wrong, too, with our society. We have no more leadership, and frankly...
You want to hear something else, something really interesting? A guy that I've tried for a couple of months now to get on to talk about one of his favorite topics?
What's that?
Bob Merkel. Won't come on.
You're kidding.
We can't get him to make any kind of a commitment.
To get soft. But you know what you should do if her honor won't come on? I don't know who's planning to run against her, but I'd have her opponents come on and talk about what's good and bad. Now, I'm not saying I disagree with Tandy Friedman.
But there is a problem there with that one, Gino, and that is the city of Tampa is a city of approximately, 300,000 people, 400,000 people, in a metropolitan area now approaching 2 million. That leaves 1.6 million people who couldn't care less. And that's, it's a programming decision. I know that it's not going to make you happy since you live in Tampa. Hey, I live in Tampa, too.
No, I live in St. Pete, but I care about the whole area.
Well,
I care about the issues.
Tampa.
And, frankly, I think Bob Talk Radio is getting mushy. And when we lost Norman did a lot of issue stuff. He, God bless him, he brought up some things, and I took him on one day. Remember that day when he had the Bill Nelson, Congressman Nelson, on and promoting the shuttle flight and the book, and they wouldn't let me get in there to ask some hard questions of Nelson, who paid for the book and all that. And I called Dick later. I said, boy, you becoming a mishmash type of guy. And he laughed, But, Bob, you can do it, too. But lately, I don't know what's happened the last few months, but it's just kind of like yin yang radio. It's just blab radio,
You can't get the audience to respond,
Well,
except,
you guys are getting paid to think about those things. Sue Tracus, and you got that Schumann, that big operations guy to Detroit.
Gino.
Tell Schumann to stay off that fishing boat a few hours and think of some great issues and ideas and guys you can interview.
Tell who? Who did you say we should tell? Well, gotta run, Gino.
73 men sailed up from the San Francisco Bay. Rolled off of the ship and...
You're just nothing but a filthy rat, sir. You know what you are, too? You're a schlemiel. You're a Boeotian, an icona, a dullard, a dork. You are what children are warned about by their parents. You are the example of what happens when you don't go to school and learn.
Well, I never,
You're the example of hallucinogenics that have taken its toll on you. You're a dork. Okay? Nice to meet you.
Weekdays 9 to noon. Catch Lionel on News Radio 97.
Would you have somebody in production isolate that last line and put it on a cart for me as a drop-in, okay? I love that. 20 minutes after the hour of 2 o'clock, one line open. It's in, where the hell is it? Hillsborough, that's where it is, 990-9352. If you're just kind of joining us and saying, wow, there's Lassiter on the radio in his old time slot, well, the answer is yes and no. And if you're joining us on a Saturday and, hearing me and saying, wow, there's Lassiter on the radio in his old... No and yes. And let's go to Largo. Hi, Larg. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Yeah, this is Pat. I was listening to your program. Now, I've never talked on it, but you were talking about new blood and everything, and more women. And a lot of women probably wouldn't call in because they don't want to give their opinion and be called a bimbo. Ignorance is one thing.
No, wait a second. I don't believe I've ever called anyone a bimbo for giving her opinion on my show.
Well, it's a feeling, I guess it's a feeling that comes across, like they're being scolded for calling. You know what I'm saying?
I've called women as well as men subhuman pigs when they've, said things like, all Jews should die or something like that.
Yeah, well, some people it'll go over and some people it won't. I mean, I've always caught more flies with sugar than with salt.
Well, that's why I've got the job and you don't. I have very high ratings. I catch a hell of a lot more flies with vinegar than I do with sugar.
Well, in your position, maybe that's better. I don't know, but a personal opinion. Okay, here I am. I'm turned on the radio. I listen to you, and you're right. There's not enough people who are honest, who can accept the truth. Got that, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, another thing is I was sitting here saying, gee, should I really be calling or shouldn't I? I have nothing to say other than my personal opinion, and he may say, oh, you're a bimbo for calling in. Because
I've never knocked anybody for a personal opinion. I have knocked people for bigoted views. I have knocked people for trying to lie or to misrepresent a position.
Okay.
But I've never, I love people with opinions.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know if you wanted an opinionated person or what, but...
You're still on the air, and I ain't called you a bimbo yet.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay,
But I think the majority of women are afraid to say or give their opinion because maybe even if you don't call them a dummy, they'll think they are dumb for saying it because they're not saying it right. A lot of men have a habit of, hey, you're not saying that right, so you're ignorant, and the women automatically shut up. They go, okay, I'll keep it to myself, and they talk to other women. You know what I'm saying? So this may be a feeling that a lot of women have. Now, if you want to take a poll, ask women and have them give a ring and say yes or no. And find out if these people are afraid to talk and give their personal opinion.
Well, I know that a lot of women are afraid to talk to me, but I appreciate that's because of a perceived demeanor. I have a very deep, very authoritative voice.
I know. My husband does, too, and I live with him, and I had to learn to work around it. But other women will forget it. Instead of listening to what you're saying, they're going, well, that big mouthy jerk, who does he think he is? Yes, I know what you're saying.
And, I have a very difficult time dealing with what I consider to be trivia,
Yes, trivia can be very boring.
Well, and it's also, trivia is in the mind of the beholder, and there are an awful lot of things that I suppose I consider trivial that other people don't.
That's right.
Hey, that's one of the problems in life I have.
That's like the lady you said that called in about her dog dying. That was probably very important to her. She had no one to talk to.
Sure as hell was.
Yeah. And to you, it was trivia, and let's get on.
No, that's not what I said. I said I totally understood. I just didn't see where the station that was doing that, I thought that they were doing great damage to the format because it is the kind of thing that either A, bores a handful of people, or B, makes an awful lot of people feel very uncomfortable because it brings back memories perhaps of their dead dog. They don't want to hear about it.
Well, in a way that's true, but in a way it's nice to know that it happened to somebody else and they're not alone. I mean, I don't do the whole program that way.
You know, I remember when I found out that my dog by my first marriage, Martha, had been run over. I did the last 5 minutes of my show saying, you know, oh, goodbye, Martha.
Yeah.
I was really deeply... You know, I understand. I lost dead dogs. I totally understand. It's probably why it made me feel uncomfortable.
Well, there's an awful lot of people go, oh, they spend more money on their dog and their cat, but these people, that's all they've got. You know, it's like a kid. I had kids and a dog, and one died, and it was like my kid died. Not to bore that, but anyhow, it's the feeling behind the person. That's the whole thing, is what I'm saying. But I think there's an awful lot of scared women out there that would love to call and talk to you about somebody, but they're afraid. And if you can pull them out of the woodwork somehow, I think you got it.
Well, I thank you very much.
I thank you, and I hope your show goes real good.
Take care. 990-9352 in Hillsborough. Why I gave you the number, I don't know. The only line available is in Pinellas. 461-9352. 461 WFLA. Clearwater, Clear, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Good afternoon, Bob.
Hi.
First point I'd like to address is the chronics.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm to a point now, I'm a very, very old, not old guy, but old talk show listener. And it's to a point now where they're so regular that just as a talk show you can usually sort of guess how they're going to react to certain questions or whatever position they're going to take on an issue. Well, the chronics have gotten the same way. You know what they're going to say before they call. It's like they're on their talk show host, too. And I agree with you 100% that by them tying up the lines, we don't get to hear new opinions. And it's the same people every show, every day. And if there's any way to institute that one call a week, at least you got fresh voices. And I know that's difficult because, you know, sometimes you don't get the calls. But, boy, hearing the same people every single day, I'm ready to turn it off.
Well, we do theoretically have a one call per show per week rule, and sometimes it's inflicted on people, and sometimes it's not. However, there are times when you do this, when you come in here and you do this, and you look down at the board, and there ain't nothing there.
I understand.
Real scary. I mean, it's real scary, and I guess for some people it's scarier than for others, but when it happens to me, first thing that goes through my mind, and I'm not kidding you, is that, oh, my God, you've lost it.
Right.
You can't do it anymore. Oh, it's all over. You know, it's back to, driving the milk truck or whatever it might be. The good times are over.
Yes, sir.
It terrifies me. However, I've been doing this a little bit longer than some other people, and I have a different approach than some other people when that board goes dead. Instead of sitting here trembling in fear, I start to holler at people for not calling in, and it works. I don't know why, but it works. For other show hosts, they haven't learned that trick yet, or they don't have the nerve to do it, or whatever it might be. They're dependent on the chronics.
Can I address the second issue?
Sure.
This one is very, very difficult for me because I feel like I'm dressing down my father or something. So please bear with me.
Okay.
I've listened to you since the very first nights on PLP. And, I was the guy that called you from the theater, and I made the people put down the saws and stuff during your monologue.
Okay, I know who you are, yeah.
And I'm going to address a few things that I've noted over the years, I guess, now with you.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps you can give me an explanation, because it upsets me, and I find myself defending you to other people. So one is, in the early days, and I know things change, and perhaps you can make it clear in my mind as to why they've changed or how they've had to, perhaps. In the early days, when you'd come on with a monologue,
mm-hmm.
and I realize you're in different time slots and everything's different, but you wouldn't let go of it. And I've noticed in the past couple months, when you came up with a wonderful monologue, instead of pulling out the cards like you used to and insisting on this is what we will talk about, you let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I've done that several times.
I thought, this isn't him. This isn't the man that I know and respect, and I do respect you, because you taught me, and I've told you this before, that there's two sides. No matter how deeply entrenched you believe in something, at least look at the other side. And that's a gift you gave me I can never repay, and I don't even know you. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Your criticism is quite valid. I've heard it from a number of other people whose opinions I also respect very much, including Muffy. I have a very short temper. It's not a mean temper, and I don't carry a grudge at all. Usually, it's over in 5 seconds as a general rule of thumb. But when I go to the time and the trouble and I get no response, unfortunately, I get angry. And sometimes also on the phones. I will frequently hang up on the very caller I want because the guy will say something to make me mad and throws me into an instantaneous, split-second blind rage. And, before I know what I have done, I've hung up on him. It's the same thing with the monologue or with a topic that I've introduced that if it really means something to me, if it's really important to me, and it's not that I talk about things that aren't of importance to me, but some things are more important than others.
Yes, sir.
That's when I go into the blind rage. And once I've crumpled up the paper and thrown it aside, once I've said, to hell with you, let's talk about gasoline prices or whatever,
right,
it's too late. It's too late to bring it back. And then other times, I'm also a little bit of an immature child, too. Other times, just to spite you. Yeah. Now you should have called 5 minutes ago. To hell with you. I'm going to try to work on it, okay?
I noted that this week that, you've sort of gone back to that.
Back to basics.
The other two things, if I could, just briefly.
Sure.
Oh, boy, this is rough. I never heard you talk materialistic in the early days.
Mm-hmm.
Like dropping the ring. This hurts me, and I don't know if it hurts you at all, but it hurts me even saying it. And
but
the
again, it's very valid.
And the wealth.
Yeah.
I never heard that. It's like he didn't sell out, certainly. And then when I heard more commercials almost than you, and in the early days, you railed other people for doing commercials. You wouldn't do them on the night show. And listen, now, I know you have to accommodate the station that you work at.
Mm-hmm.
But for some of us out here, we don't understand. This hasn't been verbalized, and we don't understand these changes.
Okay, they're, again, very, very valid critiques. And again, I've heard them from other people that I also respect, including Muffy. The exact same things you're talking about. Let me try to address them. And what I'm going to tell you now really hurts me because I was not being honest with you. When I sat at WPLP and told you I wouldn't do live endorsement commercials, I was lying to you.
Okay.
I couldn't get them.
Okay.
And I was highly embarrassed. I was pulling such numbers like you could not believe. But I worked for an organization that did not believe in me. And it was a source of considerable embarrassment for me. And I, too, am a human being, believe it or not. And I've been waiting for somebody to nail me on that because I did say, I won't do them. Well, there's a good reason why I wouldn't do them. Nobody asked me to.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I came to this radio station a year and a half ago. This radio station at that time was owned by a company called Sconix. This radio station did extremely well in the morning in their morning news block, and they did extremely well in the evening with their syndicated program, and they did very, very poorly for most of the day in between. Okay, Ted Webb did dynamite with his sports huddle, but the talk elements were disasters, just absolute disasters when I came here. This station, while not exactly ready to fall over and die, was considerably rejuvenated by my just walking through the door. These people, the Sconix people at that time, but almost everybody that works here now worked here then, had the gazungas to put me on the air in the middle of the day. But that also put a tremendous amount of responsibility on me. This station was running at that time maybe 1 or 2 paid spots an hour in the middle of the day.
Yes, sir.
That changed considerably shortly after my arrival because we took the most important demographic and increased it by 4 or 5-fold almost overnight. And we started getting some orders. They just started trickling in, and then the salespeople were able to sell. But they still wouldn't sell a live endorsement for me. They said they couldn't. Several months ago, in a tragic car accident, a man named Dick Norman died.
Very, very tragic.
Sales department had nothing left. Suddenly they could sell me. Miracle of miracles. Suddenly. And then the endorsements started to work. There are people that I do endorsements for that can't handle the business. What I'm about to tell you, I swear to you, is the gospel truth. During the last commercial break, and I won't tell you what sponsor it is, but one of my sponsors, the account executive, walked through the door, and I swear to you what I'm telling you is the truth. And after I've just admitted lying to you, now I'm telling you that what I'm telling you is the truth. One of my clients can't handle the business. We have to change the advertisement. He can't handle what I'm bringing in. Do you know what that means to me? 3.5 years of blood, sweat, and tears. 3.5 years of threats, of violence, of threats of boycotts, of insane, stupid program directors who are now out of work living in areas in the Southwest, telling me that, what I did wouldn't work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's 8 on the heaviest day, live endorsements. I'm proud. I'm pleased. I intend to do more. I don't think the live endorsements are the problem that you are talking about. I think what the problem that you're talking about is the amount of business, all kinds of business, in those 2 hours.
Right, and I never thought that I would hear you go to that sort of a situation. Knowing you from, not knowing you, of course I don't, but from the beginning, that would be something that would be wholly unheard of to you, is to sacrifice what you considered important. Every minute you're on the air is important, and you wouldn't sacrifice that for anything.
Okay, also there was another thing that you brought up. Let me tie this in that I haven't addressed, the quote-unquote materialism.
Yes, sir.
There's a man who I admire greatly in this business. I don't admire him, but I admire him in the business. He has a saying that I've used a couple of times on the air, and as a matter of fact, he got it from somewhere else, and I don't really know where the hell it comes from. But it goes something to the effect of, it's not so important that you succeed as it is that your friends fail. That's a terrible thing to admit to, but I think that if most of us sat down and really examined our consciences, we would find that at least it plays a role in our lives. Again, I do not mind, I'm ashamed of it, but I do not mind admitting to you, and keep in mind that the charges that you've made are not really heard anymore. But there was a period several months ago where I laid it on thick. And I don't mind telling you it was to intimidate and to dishearten my colleagues.
Okay, see, we're not aware of that. We only hear one side of it.
You're right, it was tasteless, and I haven't dropped that ring in a long time. I only mention the Lincoln when I have to. And I told you that as a matter of fact, I mentioned this week that I just, concluded my annual contract negotiations, but I made I did not allude to it beyond that, and I will not allude to it beyond that. I've intimidated them enough.
Well, see, these are all answers now that, believe me, have put me more to ease, because they were, it was situations just thrown out there, and we're going, who is this guy? This isn't the person that we know.
Well, there's another thing, too, that you should understand, and again, I offer it not really as an excuse, but to help you understand a little bit better who this weird man is behind this microphone. I grew up in a 2-room apartment sharing a bathroom where a lot of meals were bread and butter. I had a marvelous and delightful, beautiful mother who couldn't handle $1, who spent all of her money on clothes and instead of rent and food. I didn't know any better at the time. Hey, I thought that's the way everybody lived. And I've reached most of my goals in life. To tell you the truth, I'm damn proud. Sometimes maybe too proud. And sometimes, yes, I have been, and I hope I won't be in the future, but I have been guilty of gloating. I have been guilty of excessive pride. But that's the story. I'm proud of where I am.
Well, you've accomplished quite a bit from BLP and before that.
However, I'm not unaware of the fact that I did it because of you. And it was not fair of me, it is not fair of me to strut. I have done so, and I will try in the future not to do so. If you catch me doing it, would you please slap my hand again?
I'll just say one last thing to you, Mr. Lass. Bring us back to the Mad Dog, and to hell with the rest of the people that can't keep up.
Take care.
Thank you, Bob.
2:41 the time. By the way, I suppose I should tell you this, for those of you who are offended by dropping the ring on the desk. The ring is very, very large. It is stunningly large. But it's a gold nugget ring, and it didn't really cost that much. It's only several $100s. Now, I know that most of you are probably wearing rings worth a hell of a lot more than this one. But last night, we were sitting down in the kitchen after the show, and I said something and went to make a gesture of, where you go up and you slap your forehead. I did it with the wrong hand and hurt the hell out of myself, if that's any consolation to you. Okay, let's go to Tampa. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Bob.
Yes.
Hi, nice to talk to you. Can't believe it took till you're going to take away my privileges before I've called.
What do you mean take away your privileges?
Well, I'm one of those that fall in the younger than the listeners I guess you're trying to target right now. I've been listening to talk radio.
Hey, I don't mind if people 9 years old listen to me. It's just that a certain element of the audience is not going to destroy me.
Well, I've been listening since middle school, WPLP. I mean, that's kind of young, I guess, for anyone. But I disagree that you assume the young don't like the serious topics. I mean, we love to talk about the abortion, the capitalism. In fact, I think they like to hear about the Ollie North. You know, no one really knows what's going on.
Oh, I appreciate that. We're talking about perhaps a half a dozen people.
Well, you know, maybe it might be the other. It might have been that the chat with Bob, the Friday afternoons, made that young hysteria take place and everyone yelling and screaming. I don't know. But I fault you guys probably for the programming for the last, few months has been, in my estimation, from what I've heard over years, has been less than stunning. It got so bad this past month, I finally listened to the other station, basically because, and it was the Marvin show, I even called him up, he was talking about why, Democrats were turning Republican, and it's the first time in a while I've heard anyone talk about something serious when I've listened. Maybe some other people have been talking. But that to me was something that, the wrestling's fine once. The chit-chatting, it's okay. But, even it was a month ago, someone started trying to talk about capitalism. They were cut off right away. Someone actually attempted to try to talk about something.
On my show?
I'm one of those, listen 30 minutes here, listen an hour there. All from Al Gardner till...
Well, wait a second, the charge that you just made, was that on my show? Did I do that?
I can't remember exactly, and I won't even pretend. I won't even say yes that it was.
It could have been. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I just wanted to know if it was me that you were referring to.
Well, no. You've changed over the years. I agree with your last caller that your materialism has gotten a little out of hand. For those of us that are, in school, in debt by 30, 40 grand, it really kind of, ranks you to hear how much money you make, or that your ratings. That's fine once, that's fine twice, but big deal after a while. I think I love your show. I've been listening for I don't know how long, since you're at the other station, but that has gone on too long. I disagree, of course, with eliminating the younger audience the opportunity to call. If you're right, if they make jerks, if they're acting like jerks and scream, hang up on them. But let them at least get the chance to call. You're probably not boring them as much as you think once the topics turn serious. And lastly, probably the biggest thing, and I don't really know Dick Norman personally, or didn't know him personally, but something was lost when he was gone. That seriousness, that ability to take a topic and to discuss it intelligently, and in a way that people enjoyed. It was entertaining. There's a big hidden audience out there that I don't think you all know about that listens without calling. I was one of them.
Oh, we're very well aware of that audience, and it drives us insane that, that we can't get them to call.
Yeah. Well, they're there. But in any event...
here's this beautiful, sensitive call from you. When was the last time you called me?
You? No, well, I plead guilty. I'm one of those. In fact, I called Michael Serio when he had that 12 at night to 4 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I think, one of the first calls I've ever made. So I don't know why I don't call.
You see, if I could be guaranteed that I would have more people like yourself, I want Peg Mims, I want Gino, and I also want you, and I want a lot of other people that never call. And if you guarantee me that you'll be out there for me, and that when I need you, you'll be there, then I'll work my ass off for you, man. Because I would much rather come in here and do something provocative, something stimulating, than sit here and do chat with Bob.
Okay, tell you what. You keep the waiting time to under 25 minutes, and I'll do it for you.
Well, there's only one way I can do that. The only way I can keep the waiting period to under 25 minutes is to limit the length of the calls.
Yeah, you're letting
2 or 3 minutes.
You're letting people talk excessively long today. Any reason for that?
Because of the nature of the topic. I'm in essence sitting here allowing you to critique me. So if I try to cut you off after 2 minutes, then obviously it could easily be perceived as that I couldn't take the heat.
Okay.
So when I'm asking for heat, I got to sit here and take it.
So some compliments real quick. I think, your voice is great. Everyone just loves to sit and listen to you. And even the light subjects, when you talk about baseball, when you talk about the food, those are really neat, and I'm sure people go out and try the foods that you talk about. Other things that pop into mind are your promos, when you talk about what's happened and the way you can describe things. I think that's really good. And the way that you get into people's lives. Are you all aware of how much you all infiltrate people's personal lives?
No.
when Dick Norman died, my brother is Bert from Clearwater.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you know, Bert was not shook up, but he was shook up. You know, it was like Bert had talked to him literally every day. And when he passed away so suddenly, it was like you lose a friend. You know, if you left all of a sudden, it'd be like losing a friend. But
I don't know why I don't understand, because like you see, I've been a talk radio listener, and I have been deeply influenced and touched by people who did this for a living, even after I got to meet them and they weren't so nice. But nonetheless, over the radio, I have been touched. So I don't understand. There really isn't any explanation for why I can't also believe that the same is true for me with my audience.
Okay, Bob. Well, it was good to talk to you, and I'll be sure to call back.
Thank you very much.
All right, bye.
Take care.
I'm Paul Porter, News Radio 970 WFLA. One person is dead, another in jail.
Oh, my goodness, it's Danny the Mariner. Danny, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hello, Bob.
Hello, Dan.
I was wondering if I might have a minute or two of your time.
Sure.
Bob, okay, you know, I'm a chronic caller, as you well know.
Yes, you are.
A very big chronic caller. And I want to explain why I'm a chronic caller, and I want to explain why I think that you're very valuable in this market. First of all, let me start with myself, why I'm a chronic caller. I've always been kind of like an outspoken guy. I get pissed off a lot, you know, and I like to express my opinions. I'm not doing it so I could just, everybody will listen to me on the radio and go, oh, well, whatever, you know, because I couldn't care less about that. I talk too fast. I'm a very emotional person. I'm Spanish, it comes out. I grew up in the 60s. I still get angry about things like 68 and 70, Kent State. I get angry when this administration is going on and people just are like, la la la. I get angry about those things, and that's why when I hear you just talk about the minimum wage, and when I hear you make people question their belief in God and the Bible, when I hear you about gun control, see, I admire Larry King and I admire you because, believe it or not, you two guys are a lot alike. If somebody calls up and they want to put a liberal position or a conservative position,
yes,
they better explain it.
Yes, we both failed in Miami.
Excuse me?
I said, yes, we both went bankrupt and failed in Miami.
But they better explain their position damn well and fast, because let me tell you something, Lassiter or King, believe it or not, King has got venom. He has got venom. You better explain your position. You do too, and that's what I like about it. There's some days I try to call. One day there I try to call about. I know I'm a chronic caller on other shows, and I'm not on yours because you won't allow it. And that's your right, and you're great at that. And and I defend your right, and it's your show. One time though, I did try to voice my opinion on gun control, and I love when you talk substance, and you wouldn't let me on, and I got mad at Mike. But I understand now after listening to your opening monologue as to why. And I also understand when you just go straight to the I appreciate this. After you go, you don't explain for 10 minutes what you're doing. You go right back to the calls after the news break and news hour. That's great. You have a great set of pipes. A lot of times I don't disagree with you. Unfortunately, their positions are a lot like mine. I get angry when people say that Jane Fonda should be tried for treason when George Bush and Ronald Reagan sold arms to Iran. That pisses me off. You know. I realize that Abby Hoffman and Jerry Rubin, those people alienated some people. Yes, I do. I realize that we lost a lot of people to our side. And I realize when I get up there and I say the same rhetoric nowadays, it doesn't work. You know why? In my opinion, Bob, it doesn't work because people nowadays because they don't care about that. It's like, what are you, crazy? What are you talking about that? Man, you better shut up. They're going to put you in jail. Well, they did that to us in 1968, too. Things haven't really changed that much, but I guess I'm addicted. I'm outspoken kind. Sometimes I think you don't think I'm really that, you know, I'm fairly intelligent. You know, fairly. I'm not stupid, Bob. Sometimes I think you think I am. You know, and all I can do is talk sports. So, you know, just getting it off my chest.
Danny, I beg your pardon. I've never said anything of the kind.
No. I mean, too. Sometimes, you know, I feel that you won't take my call because, he's just, it's just a character call.
No, if I don't take your calls, because I think I've heard from you too recently.
Right, and I understand now what you're saying. I understand, and the opening monologue as to why you want new blood in there where it won't sound the same. The record, not mean just other callers also. You know, the Sam McClellan show?
Yeah.
On the weekend, there's Saturdays and Sundays, as you know. A lot of people participate in that. And I think Sam McClellan is great. I think he's a pro. I really think he's good, you know. I don't agree with his positions, but people call up and they argue with him, and it makes for entertainment, you know what I mean, on the weekend. But, I guess I got most of everything I just want to say, but I just want to say that I love it. I love it when you tell somebody, hey, listen, you said, listen, I'll play back the tape if you want. I love it when you're telling somebody, hey, look, man. He says, you're making things up as you go along, and I love it when you get these, these characters and you just expose them what they are. And I appreciate you, the market, and listen to me. The only thing I can say is I'm addicted, and that's why I like to call. But I just wanted to say that,
Thank you, Danny the Mariner.
Okay, just Bob.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
990-9352 in Hillsborough, 461-9352 in Pinellas. I give you the numbers, even though the board is full. We're coming into a newscast. Newscasts always mean drop-off city. In the 3 o'clock hour, we shall bring the poor people waiting downstairs in the lobby up here for the big moment that they've all waited for. I can't begin to imagine why. We'll continue into the third hour. So don't get bummed out. We're getting it off of our chests today, okay? That's in essence what it is. I've already laid off on you. It's your turn to lay off on me, the station, the industry. Who cares? Behave yourselves. Don't venture very far. You guys for 40 minutes and decided it would only be fair to allow you to unload on me or other people or other factors here at the station, because talk radio is a very personal format. There's much more of an interaction. There's much more of a bonding than there would normally be in another type of format. So, as I promised, there would be drop-off city during the news, and there was. Pinellas dropped off. Entirely. Completely. It is 3 o'clock. I suppose it's time in Pinellas for naps and prune juice. So, let us give out the Pinellas numbers for anybody who is still awake over there, and that would be... Foolish me, I have to put on my glasses. I was trying to impress the audience that I really was young and virile, But, okay. Pinellas numbers are, that's what they are, 461-9352. 461-WFLA. Tampa, hi, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Yeah, how are you today?
Fine, thank you. Sorry,
I've got some criticism, but you're the one that got me onto the talk radio. I've been about 3 months, maybe 4, I guess. I usually listen to the FM station because I'm an oldies but goodies fan. And Paul Harvey came on, and then you came on right after that, and that day you had a pretty good subject. And I'm out on the road driving and listening to you, and you kind of stimulated my thought waves. And a lot of times you have good subjects. I guess I've called you twice, once on the air and then once I just talked to Mike. But I must have enraged you because you hung up on me. The second time I called Monday because I had never seen you until Saturday. And asked you if I could take some pictures of you. And you and, I guess, is it your wife, Muffy?
Yeah, that's my wife, Muffy.
Okay, and I took a picture of you and her after you'd gone through the parade, and then I left them off at the studio and just wanted to see what you'd thought of.
I appreciated it very much, the four of them. They're back there on my desk.
Hey, they came out good.
Oh, I thought so.
One thing I'd like to say, I think you're a professional, okay? And I don't mind your bragging, because where I come from, if you can do it, it's fact. It's not brag. And you are a pro, and it's your show. In other words, it's your bat and ball. If you don't want to talk to me, that's your prerogative, because that's the way I believe, if you don't like my views. Part of the problem, I think, though, my wife doesn't like some of the things you do, and I think that might intimidate women. Do you ever get that feeling?
Oh, sure. Sure, because I know that there are a great number of women that listen to this program, and I appreciate that I am an intimidating type of person. Not because I want to be, but it's the way it is. It's a fact of life.
Well, I don't think you intimidate the men, though. That much, do you?
Some men I do, sure. And it's a fact of life.
Well, the organization that you work for, I watch Channel 8. I'm from...
Sir, the people I work for are anything but organized.
Okay, but anyway, the people that own WFLA and WFLZ, top 20 in the markets here in Tampa?
Yeah.
And I'm from an area in Southern California that's probably 2 in the market area, and I think they are the most professional of the 3-4 channels we have and are the media in this area.
Yeah, but it's a whole different style of talk radio. The talk radio in Southern California is much more lifestyle-oriented, and it's much more laid back in terms of the host. The host, for example, do you know whether or not the host is married or how many times he's been divorced?
No, I say, you were my. I'm not a talk show addict until the last 3-4 months.
Oh, okay. Well, in California, I promise you wouldn't. I promise you wouldn't know, because In some markets, it is felt as though the host is nothing more than a disc jockey. He's just supposed to play the callers. In other areas, such as this market, we have a different approach to talk radio, where the host is part of the program.
Do you think it's demographics, or?
It's just difference of opinion, that's all. It's much easier for the station's management to deal with one of these plastic type of programs because you never get any really negative feedback and you never have any unhappy clients, but you don't have any passion either. So consequently, your audience turns over more frequently, and they're not as easily led to try some of the sponsors, as an example.
Well, you know,
there's pluses and minuses to each.
Personally, do you take exception to people that disagree with you? Is that what enrages you?
No, I beg your pardon. I want people who disagree with me. I do not want people to call up and say, "Oh, Bob, you're the smartest thing since sliced bread." There is nothing that could be more boring. I want people who are in disagreement with me. What I do not tolerate, what I will not tolerate, are people who don't really want to take part in the conversation, but either want to personally insult me or my dead mother or my dog or Michael Aserio, or people who don't know what they're talking about. There's a big difference between having a difference of opinion and making things up. Let me give you an example. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, I even mentioned this on the air yesterday. Yesterday I was driving in. Some guy called up and said, "Boy, I don't buy American cars because Japanese are so much better, and the whole problem is the unions. And, our guys get $35 an hour and only work 5 hours a day and get 12 hours vacation." Nothing could be further from the truth. That's not true. It's not close to true. I don't understand why people who, for example, hate unions have to make things up. There are plenty of good negative things to say that are true.
Oh, I agree with
about
that.
Organized labor. I know what they are. I don't like them either. But, you don't have to lie. So when I get a call like that, it enrages me.
I can understand that.
To the point where I hang up on the jerk.
What bothers me is when people attack you personally instead of your opinion. And then you turn around. It bothers me also on your side when you would, you come up with subhuman species and stuff. That's not an intelligent maneuver for me. I would never insult you personally, okay? I might insult your opinion.
Well, you're right. Except that the only explanation I can give you, and I don't do so really to pat myself on the back or to justify what I do, but also keep in mind, in addition to hopefully having some intelligent conversation, this is also an entertainment program, and I have to spice it up.
I agree. It is very entertaining.
So perhaps it is a shortcoming of mine, but one of the things that I have found that really gets people's attention is to shout at somebody, "Get off my phone, you subhuman pig."
I like that, but I mean, I don't have a problem with you when they attack you personally instead of your opinion.
Yeah, sure. It's not you they're attacking, huh?
You've enraged me this week with your opinion, but not personally, because I don't know you. And to me, I have a direct opposite view from what you do as far as the Eastern Airlines situation.
I understand that.
Because I'm an employer, and I have to meet a payroll, and if I had strikers, they'd be gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I assume that you're an employer who has the long-term benefit of his company in mind.
That's the first thing in my mind, my company.
You see, there's the problem we have with Eastern Airlines.
Well, but he's the owner.
You see, I too would be dead set against workers just striking and striking and striking and pushing and pushing and pushing to the point where you put the employer out of business. That's wrong, and I would call that wrong. It is wrong. But we have to look at each situation on its own merits, which is why you and I may have a disagreement on Eastern Airlines.
Well, I think, not necessarily on Eastern Airlines. I think a lot of these people are more impassioned instead of being realistic. And they take an impassioned view of something instead of being rational about it, and it's an emotional thing instead of a thoughtful thing.
Now, you see, I wish you would have called me yesterday, because I can't get into a discussion on Eastern Airlines today, but...
That wasn't my point, Bob. I was just saying there's been a couple of subjects.
But it is my point. I wish you would called me yesterday.
Well, I'm afraid of getting cut off.
Remember what I had to do earlier this week, how I had to stomp my feet and throw a hissy fit to get anybody with any kind of a semblance of a full deck to call me?
Well, I'm always, I don't want to get cut off. I'm naive.
Great, don't
vain
insult
enough.
my dog.
I'm vain enough to think that I can have a discussion with you. In fact, one day when you were on someone else's show, I remember. I can't remember who it was. It was a substitute in the afternoon. You came on a little early. And I said, God, I wish I could control that button. I wish I was there from 12 to 3 to control that button on him. Then we could sit and have a discussion, and he couldn't cut me off.
Well, you said I hung up on you once. What was the conversation
I only
about?
called you once.
Well, what was the conversation about? What did you say?
You were talking about the young ladies that got sentenced for a long period of time.
Oh, the shoplifters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even though I'm a right-winger as far as politically, human rights, we probably agree. I think if Ollie North is found guilty, then he should suffer the consequences. And I had asked you a personal question. I said, do you personally think that any crime should go unpunished? And you said, well, I'm going to finish this conversation, and that was it.
I can't begin to imagine why.
Well, I might have been enraged at the time.
Well, there must have been something else to it, because just that, unless I was not feeling well that day, I can't begin to imagine why I would have hung up on you.
Well, I didn't take it personally. I just thought that
you good. It wasn't meant personally. So this is all a game, isn't it?
Well, you stimulate me intellectually.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, I don't think some people take it that way. I think they take affront personally and take it as a personal attack. My wife is that way somewhat. She says, this guy's, she makes comments. I said, wait a minute. This is his opinion. He's entitled to it. And you most likely think it out. Most people just come off knee-jerk and don't have any real opinion. It's just a gut reaction to what they're going to say.
Well, you see, we've got something in Tampa that I've never encountered before, at least to this degree, in any other market in terms of talk radio. We have an incredible amount of masochists who listen 24 hours a day, hate everybody, hate everything that's said, and still call in. I've never run into this before. We didn't have that in Miami.
Well, it's more
didn't have it in Philadelphia.
Don't you think? You're from a metropolitan area, born and raised, correct?
Right, I'm a Northeasterner, no two ways about it.
Right. And I think that part of the problem is Tampa's going through growing pains. I've only been here 13 years, and I've seen it's going through growing problems, and it's still, sometimes I apply the term village mentality. And it's not cosmopolitan yet. It's getting there. And you have an influx of people coming here who will make it much more so. And they're not used to people like you.
I mean, don't you get a kick out of the people that call up and first of all announce that they never listen to me? Today's an exception. And then virtually recite every show I've ever done?
I love the promo with the guy calling, getting on you, first-time listener about the religion.
Yes, Fibber.
Yes, now that I can dig. Now that's entertaining to me.
Except they really made a mistake in that promo, because I said the same thing in essence twice, and the second time I said it, when he was accusing me of calling him a liar, and I said, no, you're a fibber, and he said, what's the difference? And the second time I said, you're not smart enough to be a liar. That's the one I wish they had used.
It does take intelligence to be a liar.
Yes, it does.
And most people don't realize that.
Trust me, it does.
You can ask me the same question 6 months from now if you ask me one today, and I'd give you the same answer, because I'm really not intelligent enough to lie.
Well, my friend, I've got to take a break at this point. Would you believe me that I'm not going to hang up on you per se? I mean, it's just that I have to terminate the conversation.
I can accept that, but keep stimulating me. Get some subjects and really get on these people and make them think.
Okay, well, like I said to the other young man who in essence said the same thing a half hour ago, don't let me down. If you're there for me, I'll be there for you.
And tell Muffy she didn't break the camera, neither did you, and it was an excellent... You people are a good-looking couple.
Thank you very much.
All right, bye-bye.
Why he would say that, those costume I had on last Saturday was just a little bit strange, so that makes us now wonder about everything that he said, that he likes men walking around in, short breeches and tights and things like that, but he didn't really sound like that kind of a guy.
At Meta, we don't think a copier company that makes TVs, CDs, VCR...
Lutz. Hi, Lutz. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Good afternoon, Bob.
Good afternoon, Lutz.
Okay. I know one of the things that I know I have at times bordered upon a chronic caller.
Which first name?
Richard.
Richard from Lutz? It doesn't really ring a bell with me to the point of chronic.
I know it was about a year ago.
Might be part of the nifty
really bad. I've tried to monitor myself. But I know that maybe with myself and probably a lot of other people who did make quite a few calls would get to the point where instead of contributing something to the show, we would be calling up, I think, more just to hear ourselves talk.
And that's unfortunately what I hear all too often.
And I found that I was doing that because I know you and I have had several I considered very good conversations, And then there were times when you should have reamed me and didn't, I don't know, out of pity or something, because I was calling up and I was not contributing anything to the show instead of trying to approach it in a semi-rational manner.
Well, you must understand, and this is one of the great problems in this format, is that there are times when we're not listening to you. Because, either someone has come into the studio, or you're looking at something going on out in the hall, or, you suddenly remember you got a commercial coming up and you're going through your briefcase. So that's a big problem in this format, is that sometimes we don't listen.
Or sometimes the calls are so inane that, and they're just so dry and boring, you might as well just let them have their 3 minutes and then go on to the next person.
Then I get up and I walk around when that happens.
And I know that's why I had tried to monitor myself, and at least I feel that if you're going to, use the airtime, God, I did that. I hate doing that, If you're going to use the airtime, at least try to contribute something to the show. And one of the things that I have noticed that the callers have become is, instead of passionately, believing and having no basis in fact for what they believe, they just know they believe it, and people would call and sputter and couldn't explain to you where they were coming from, but you knew that deep down they were good people, but they just vehemently disagreed. Now, getting people up that just for no other reason than I think you said, to listen to their own voice, they call and make personal attacks. And I know that has started me channel flipping at times.
Well, I don't even mind the personal attacks, because sometimes they can be funny, or you can turn them into something that's funny. What I mind are just the inane comments. It doesn't make any difference, what they're saying. They're just saying something, but it's usually stupid.
Yeah.
Or making noises or whatever it might be. And again, I take full responsibility for allowing that to happen in the first place.
Well, it's kind of, the market has changed dramatically since talk radio has become more popular as a format. It was almost better when it had kind of a cult status, because you had even the so-called chronic callers. They generally, the majority of them, had a valid point, believed in what they were saying, and made it interesting. And then you would have the opposite viewpoint. And then as it became more and more listened to as a format, you started having the people calling in that really didn't have anything to say.
Well, you see, you're really touching upon something very near and dear to my heart. I take credit for the change in this market. I take credit for bringing in a whole new group of people to the format. Maybe that sounds a little arrogant to somebody, but damn it, I did it.
Well,
I did it on my own. I did it fighting management all the way in the early years. However, I did that primarily at night, where the rules are different. I can't work anymore at night because they won't let me work at night for a couple of reasons. First of all, I guess if I really insisted upon it, they cut my salary by 2/3 and let me work at night if I really insisted upon it. But they won't pay me what they pay me to work at night, and I understand that. And on top of that, I don't think the station can afford at this point to take me out of the day part that I'm in, because we need the numbers. This brings a really major problem to me. I'm not happy with my work. I haven't been happy with my work for a long time. Even in the noon to 3 slot, where I have more time to do my thing because, there's less business, my audience is different than the audience at night. At night, for the most part, people turned in to listen. In the daytime, people have it on. Big difference here. They have it on while they're, working in the shop, or selling dresses, or typing letters, or doing whatever it is that the 100,000 people do. It's not like they're really going out of their way. It's not like they have dropped everything, as you frequently did at night, to listen to the show.
No, it could be music or anything else. It's background noise. It's almost programmed well. I listen to 970. However, I am building a doghouse right now, but I'm turning it on in the background.
And here's my major dilemma. I like working from 3 to 6. For me, personally, it is very convenient. It makes me have all of my mornings free. I have time to go out to the beach if I want to. I won't, but I have the time to. I have time to take my wife out to lunch. I have time to go out and meet with clients. I didn't have that ability when I worked noon to 3.
Do you have time to go shopping?
I am terrified. I'm telling you the truth. I am terrified as to what this is doing to my career. I'm making more money. I'm making more money for the station. I may actually even end up having higher ratings. But I'm not going to have the relationship that I've had before with my audience, and that has me scared.
Well,
if you must know the truth.
I think that you should be able to adapt to that. It's going to take time. you've adapted in every change you have, because I've been following you since you started at PLP. I've been listening to talk radio probably for 6 or 7 years as the alternative to music stations, and I don't anticipate as far as trouble with you there. It's just,
you talked about my adapting to it. Excuse me. And a little bit earlier, we talked about a perceived materialism with Lassiter, and yes, there is a materialism with Lassiter. I've never denied that. You just shouldn't rub in people's noses. However, there is also something else with Lassiter that not too many people believe, and that is a principled Lassiter. I do this because I like it, not because they pay me to do it. Between you and me, I'd do it for free.
I didn't say that. I'm sure nobody else did either.
I swear to you, don't pass that around.
I think they've got Z93 on downstairs.
I hope so. Actually, they probably don't. But in any event, I would literally do this for free. So if this ever became too much of a drag, I really could walk away from it. I mean, if they came in here tomorrow and said, you'll do 3 different guests every day, and you'll do a lot of authors, and, you won't say damn, you won't say hell, and you'll never mention somebody else's call letters, and you'll do this, and you'll do that, and you'll wear a tie, I would basically give them the old Italian salute and be gone.
Radio Free Russia.
Take my chances somewhere else down the line. So, I don't quite know what I'm going to do, and I don't quite know where I'm going to do it or when I'm going to do it. I'm extremely happy in Tampa. I'm extremely happy at WFLA. I'm extremely personally happy with the hours. Professionally, I'm terrified. Because I don't want to give up that bonding. I don't want to give up that very special relationship between the Mad Dog and the Mad Dogettes and the Mad Doggies, if I may.
No, I understand that, and I think what you mentioned earlier...
I'll really lay it on the table this afternoon. I am jealous that miserable little punk in the morning, that caller, has the time to develop a relationship with his audience, and I don't anymore. All I've got the time to do is to try to talk them into going to Howard's.
Well, we'll see how long that
Howard's is a damn fine place. Have you been there yet, by the way?
No, being here in Lutz, it's kind of tough to get downtown. And
well, I appreciate that, but don't you get downtown occasionally?
Why?
Well, I mean, I don't know, to pay a traffic ticket or something like that, or to go to the museum.
Well, when I go to the museum, it's out at USF. That's still quite a drive.
Why not try the Tampa Museum? Strangely enough, do you realize it's right next door to the NCNB building?
It is.
It is, and strangely enough, Howard's is located in the NCNB building.
It is?
It is.
I thought I'd heard a rumor like that.
A nice afternoon of strolling through the museum, getting a little bit of culture, bring perhaps along a favorite lady. Do you have a favorite lady?
Not now.
Well, you probably would if you ate at places like Howard's.
But that's what I heard. Got a question. Did they straighten up the building? I really don't want to topple in, if the tower goes.
Well, you see, that's one of the better parts about Howard's. It's on the ground floor, so you don't get that feeling of listing.
Well, I think you sold me. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to make one of the next gigs down there. And if I don't make one of your gigs, I'll just set up my own.
Don't forget, Friday night, the happy hour at Howard's is, if you're really worried about the building, happy hour is inside and outside. Outside on the terrace right next to the Hillsborough River, the coldest beer you can begin to imagine, and the live music, the full menu, the hamburgers. It's all right there for you at Howard's. I highly recommend it.
I will take your opinion and your recommendation, since they are both. I'm going to get off the phone and let some other people talk.
Okay, don't forget about, also, if you're in the, in the Bayshore area,
yes.
Howard's at 533 South Howard Avenue.
I couldn't, since that is the original, and of course, as we all know, you can never duplicate the original.
Oh, those hamburgers. Oh, don't order the hamburgers at night at Howard's at South Howard unless you love hamburger.
Oh, I do. Okay. It's scary how much I love them. I will get back with you when you get topical again. I'm looking forward to that.
Are you implying, Sarah, that Howard's is not topical?
No, I think Howard's is very topical. I was just
I understand.
Changing tracks.
Well, I just can't think of anything more American than tasty cakes and baseball. I'm sure that you can't either. This coming Sunday, 2 o'clock at the Jack Russell Stadium in Clearwater, the magnificent Lassiter, will be there to throw out the first ball. The good folks from Tasty Cakes will be there to give you a free Tasty Cake as well as flip-down sunglasses. That is Sunday, 2 o'clock. Jack Russell Stadium, the magnificent Lassiter, and Tasty Cakes. What more could you ask for from News Radio 970 WFLA? Afternoon, Tampa.
I should be home mowing the lawn. I'm off work right now, still sitting here waiting to talk to you. You should be honored.
I'm very honored. I'm enjoying today. I truthfully am.
Well, Bob, since it's Raz on Bob, though, can I espouse some opinions?
Sure you can.
And I've heard you say before that as long as a caller expresses things in terms of his or her opinion, you won't get dumped on as long as you're not stated as fact.
Well, exactly.
Okay, I state these as my opinion only. Mm-hmm. First of all, I listen. I've been listening to talk radio, for a long time. I listened to it on the other station. I used to love it when you and the Mad Englishman over there, Mr. Boring personified, would have your feud. And I believe one time he mentioned your name on the air when you two had made an agreement not to or something, and he was banned for a couple of days. You remember that?
Oh, God, I forgot all about that.
Oh, that was great.
Oh, what? And do you know, I begged, I pleaded, and I'm telling you the truth, with Yoki, who was the general manager over there at the time. You see, what happened is Yoki came out with one of these absolutely asinine, ridiculous dictates that, and I don't even remember what it was, but, if anybody does this, and they'll do that, and with this and the other thing and the other thing, and it was just so stupid. I love to do this. I sat back, I turned on the radio, and I said to myself, I know we can't go more than a day or two without this happening. And sure enough, bam, it happened. Came in that afternoon, and I said, well, which actually was Don Richards, who was the program director, and Yoki, and I called the two of them together. I said, okay, which one of you guys is going to fire Cole? And they turned white. And I said, well, Cole said blankety blank, blankety blank, blankety blank. And, I've got this memo here that says blankety blank, blankety blank, blankety blank. And there was wringing of hands. And, Yoki said, well, I don't think we should fire. Oh, God. How about if I suspend him and make him apologize? And I said, Yoki, I only brought it up because it was a stupid thing that, that you said to start with. And no, don't make the man apologize. Don't humiliate the man, for God's sake. It doesn't make any difference. Yoki, it's you I'm coming down on, not Cole's. And he still made Coles apologize on the air and suspended him, and it was really stupid.
Well, it was great, the prepared statement he had to read that was on tape. I loved it.
Well, except that it ran, Michael, once every 2 hours or once an hour? Once an hour for like 2 or 3 days. I would not allow it to run on my show. Nobody else had the guts over there to do that, but I took the initiative and wouldn't allow it on my program.
Anyhow. Let me tell you a couple of things I don't like about you here, Bob.
Sure.
Well, I agree with, I guess, about 30%. I totally agree with you about Eastern. I totally disagree with you about religion, but that's opinions. What I really don't like is when you do not allow a caller to cut you off mid-sentence, yet you chronically do that to the poor caller.
You mean in the course of when you say cut off, you mean break into the conversation?
Correct.
I suppose I'm probably guilty of that, I suppose.
I don't, if someone's rude to me, I'll be rude back, but as long as we can talk as gentlemen, I'll let them say anything they want to say about me as long as I get a chance to rebut, But anyhow, question for you.
Sure.
Is the reason why on your show y'all went to no names, for, I guess, the chronic callers, is because if no names are given, then in the Arbitron book, they cannot state somehow that, yes, you're popular, but only with a select few, and if no names are given, then they're untraceable.
That's not exactly how the ratings are conducted. It's not even close to the way the ratings are conducted. The ratings are conducted by diary. People are selected at random by Arbitron.
I've kept one before.
Okay, well, great. I cannot allow you, by the way, to tell about keeping the diary.
I will not.
I can only, in the most broad, general terms, tell the rest of the audience how it's done. Well, if you've kept one before, then you know that, the ratings are not determined by Arbitron listening to the callers and tracing them down by name. No, the reason for eliminating the names on my show, which was an arbitrary decision by Michael Serio and myself. Actually, Michael suggested it, and I jumped right on it. So I was never comfortable with the names to start with. And secondly, I was beginning to hear cult callers developing themselves. It was the Joe from here, the Pat from there, the Tom from the other place. And I did so deliberately to try to cut down on the audience realizing that it was the same damn people over and over, because not all of the voices are that identifiable, but a lot of the names are.
But, Bob, a lot of times we can't wait. Like, if you get on a certain subject, we can't wait for a certain person to call, knowing there's going to be this great battle royal, and it's so amusing.
Now you've lost me completely. I have no idea what you're saying.
All right, if you were to get on a liberal diatribe, we would all sit back and wait for Rocky to call. Or if you were to start putting down the ACLU, we'd all sit back and wait for a DJ to call.
Well, first of all, you must understand there are a number of callers who I will always identify by name. Some of them I gave them their names, such as Rocky. Rocky never identified himself as Rocky. That's, short for the Rock and Roll Klansman.
Right.
He was just good old St. Petersburg 3 years ago.
I mean, the guy's an idiot, but he sure is entertaining.
Well, helped to make me. And, of course, a couple of other people did, too, probably Rocky the most. But I'm not quite sure what you're saying. By eliminating names, I'm not sitting here waiting for somebody to call. Most of the calls go on in the order in which they came in. We do occasionally make exceptions, but most of them go on in the order in which they came in. I'm just trying to eliminate, and I think I have to a degree, helping to point out, okay, there's a caller, Jack from Gulfport. Great guy, sends me booze, but Jack's voice is not that identifiable. Jack from Gulfport is... And so that's why it's now just Gulfport. See, there's one example. There are other people, their voices are identifiable. There's nothing I can do to hide them. Nothing.
Okay.
But that's the whole reason for it.
All right, another one.
Quickly, please.
Okay, very quickly. Another one of the callers I used to love to hear would be Lionel.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like to listen to the man. I think he has a great talent. You'd have to admit that. Also, though...
One of the best callers ever.
Exactly, but I sense that you're extremely jealous of the man.
No, I'm not jealous of him. I was very, very, extremely angry when Lionel was using things that were clearly my signatures and didn't even realize it. As an example, Lionel has a great signature word, spilkus, or something to that effect.
Yes.
If I suddenly started using that word, that would be an absolute ripoff. It would be unforgivable. Well, Lionel was ripping some things off from me without realizing it.
Ta-ta, like that?
No, Ta-Ta's not mine. My God, Ta-Ta.
No, remember the show you did a couple months ago?
Well, yeah. Which was, a one-day thing. It seemed like a great idea at the time. But the point is, he was using some things of mine that he was not aware of. I had to remind him in no uncertain terms. And he has been very, very good about it. I am extremely pleased. As I've said earlier in this broadcast, the guy's getting better every single day. Well, I just said a moment ago, I was jealous of the fact that he had more time to bond with his audience than I have now. If you want to call that jealousy, then yes, I'm damn jealous. But
I mean,
Lionel,
you're both great, but you both do it in two different ways. I think there's room for both stars to rise.
You're quite right, and I will do far better at this station as Lionel does better, and he will do better as I do better. This is an ego business, you must understand, and there are things in this business that are very hard to come up with, like good material. And good material you must defend. I will continue against him or against anybody else. I'll try to do it off air, but if that doesn't work, it is so much more effective on air. And if you perceive a problem between Lionel and I, you're wrong. Have there been very heated words? Yes. I mean words so bad as to shake the walls of this building. But I consider Lionel to be a friend. We are not close personal friends, but I consider him to be a friend. He is a welcome guest at my house. As a matter of fact, I am having a picnic soon, and he's going to be invited. He hasn't been invited yet. Lionel, if you're listening, call up and I'll give you the date. His girlfriend and I are friends here at the station. I've known her for quite some time. So don't think there's any major problem.
Great, because I enjoy you both immensely, and I would hate to think that there's this, walk down the opposite sides of the halls, don't look at each other when you pass the radio station.
No, that was the case for about 10 days until we had the major shakeout.
You know what would be great for both of you? If on a selected day of the week, you would call his show and discuss a topic, then he would call your show and discuss a topic. You'd rake him in.
Well, as a matter of fact, that's not going to happen, but there is something I have suggested, And, holding a phone for 3 hours is incredible. What I would suggest is about once every 2 weeks, alternating back and forth, he be a guest on my show for the entire 3 hours, and in 2 weeks I be a guest on his show for the entire 3 hours. I haven't had a chance to suggest that to him because I don't see him that often.
It would be great.
But that's one of the things I would also like to do.
One more thing. If you'd like another client for your advertising, find a restaurant with a great no-smoking section. I think you've set everything up where it would be effective. I don't mean just a sign that says smoking, no smoking, but if you find one that serves good food and has a real no-smoking section, they need to grab you and get you to advertise it because of the other things you've been advertising.
You do realize that a lot of people have trouble giving up smoking.
Yeah, I do. I've heard that. I've never had that trouble because I smoked last when I was 10 years old, but I understand there are a lot of people that cannot put those things down.
Well, that's right, but a lot of those people have run into, I can't do that. Thank you very much, caller. You better get a calendar and try to... Well, okay, Saturday, isn't that what I said? Saturday show's almost done. And then, okay, if you're listening on Friday, there's a lot more left. If you're listening on Saturday, it's virtually over. If you're listening on Sunday, we have no idea. No idea whatsoever as to where this is. And, maybe it could even show up Tuesday. Back to the phones again we go. By the way, if you're listening on Saturday, don't call. St. Petersburg, St. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Well, you need a soothsayer to follow that.
Oh, tell me about it, Al. Whoa.
Anyway, I was telling you how I traversed through this.
Uh-huh.
And a short while after Norman came on, then you came over. And I began to learn what this whole thing was about.
My God, you're not going to give us away, are you?
When I would speak with Ellery or Gonzalez, if I could begin to make a point with them and get, especially Ellery would start talking and crowding out, and then all of a sudden you disappear, and then you just, whoa, what happened?
Well, what do you mean? Ellery never had any calls.
I
try to keep you on.
He had me on occasion to make a point, and it made sense. I found that to speak with you or with Norman, I had to be prepared. I had to know what I was talking about. Because you guys always came in after research and knowing speaking from fact. And this is something that I don't see I don't hear from so many of the other hosts on the radio anymore. You and Norman seem to have an edge on that.
Well, we've got 2 more stations in town, and an interview will be published, I think, next week at St. Petersburg Times, in which I say something to the effect of, we have a little bit of competition these days, and we do. And it's going to make us all work harder, but unfortunately the competition isn't any good. Should be a hell of a lot better. Competition are these people that are afraid of being human. They're afraid of being real. I'm going to say in the article, if he uses these lines, they're afraid to fail, and so therefore they're afraid to succeed. And they try to take the middle ground. Norman, myself, we're not afraid to fail.
That's the impression I always got.
Succeed.
You weren't afraid to get in there and tangle with it, to make a mistake, to maybe adjust your point of view because I can't relate a specific instance, but I can recall both of you on occasion adjusting your point of view sometime after the conversation about something.
Well, you have to. Life changes, so obviously your points of view have to change.
And there's one of your most memorable, in my mind, programs was the afternoon you had the Holocaust revisionist on.
Uh-huh.
And I called to confront him with some things that I know as fact. These are some things that I had researched. And you allowed me to make the point and to stay on for a while. And it's like shows like that, hey, I realize you can't do them all the time. Once a month might be too much.
Well, shows like that are just absolutely draining because you've got to listen to every syllable when you've got someone on like that.
And, I realize that. I would like to hear more of that.
Well, you're going to, Al. You're going to hear a lot more of it. I know I've made that promise before and never did get around to it because, for whatever reason, but in the foreseeable future, there's going to be more of it.
You and Norman were similar in so many ways in the confrontational and in the controversial, and you were different in so many ways. You were like point, counterpoint, and he would bring on the interviews with the somewhat esoteric expert, and this I found interesting, and I realize that's difficult to find. I would like to see if there's someone out there to fill the spot that you need filled there. I would like to see something like that happen. I enjoy you and Norman were tops.
Thank you very much, Al.
Thank you, sir.
Got to run. Be good. Well, let's see. There are 2 more hours to go if you're listening on Friday. Another show's coming up if you're listening on Saturday. If you're listening on Sunday, we will probably be back for another hour or two. Or it may be the end of the show on Sunday, too. However, on Wednesdays, we will be followed by Ask the Carpenter. And if this is Thursday, I hope you really enjoyed Plumbing for You. Don't venture very far in any case.
Great. Oh, what a jerk. We'll never get any listeners to him. Turn it up, honey. Turn it up.
And poor Mary sits there almost in a daze.
I know.
You know, probably going through her mind, why did I marry this man? If only I had known.
Oh, yes. I know my husband and I had the battle of the radio dial in the car all the time. It's like, shut it off, shut it off. No, put it back. Listen to this. But,
well, it's one of the reasons we only have 4,000 miles on the car. The car's almost 6 months old, but Mary just won't get in it.
No, let's walk.
I can't take it. Well,
cab.
Well, I'm glad I'm not really bad. I didn't know. I couldn't tell. I know there have been days that I've called in twice in one day, but it was only because there were guests on, and I had questions. You know, it's like
yeah, of course, yeah, sure, I understand.
And,
just happen to have a, cassette tape in the player, right?
Yeah, right.
No, I know people that do that.
Shut the radio off. Get off the phone, run in the other room real quick. I catch the last 2 seconds of your voice on the air.
Yeah.
But I forget what I was going to ask you.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Can you tell when I change my voice?
Can I tell you change your voice? No.
It's obvious. I do that sometimes just because I don't want to, just for fun. I don't know. Like, just fun.
That's okay. There are a lot of people that do that. I'm not going to mention any names. To begin with L. All of them.
No, well,
except for
I've caught some, but other ones I thought were some of the other people. But it is. I like it when you guys have fun. I like it when it's serious.
Did you ever notice that Bob Schumann never shows up on Lionel's show? Did you ever wonder about that?
No, actually, I didn't, to be honest with you.
I've got to go. Gary McHenry's standing by, but I thank you very much. You're not a chronic caller.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad.
Maybe just a semi-regular.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Gary, have you heard all the sexy persons?
Minute 29, minute 30. Dear Mr. Masenko, Bob was 1 minute 30 seconds late so that he could listen to a woman with an irresistible urge. Hello? Are we on yet?
Have you been listening to all the sexy persons I've been talking to this afternoon, Gary?
Yeah, lots of extremely warm persons.
I suppose you'll be out tonight at the various different watering holes around town for a happy hour looking for sexy persons.
Brandon Wishy-Washy. With my magic wand.
Yeah, right.
And a pocket full of quarters.
When was the last time you did any tricks with your magic wand, huh?
I've been having problems lately, Bob.
I know.
Oh, wait a minute. Tonight's the,
Let's just blow out the traffic report.
Well, let's see. We're going to blow out the rest of your show if you don't know, buddy. My good friend Dave Masenko and I will take care of you in about 2 seconds flat. Amazing, Lassiter. Magnificent, Lassiter. Sheldon Road up to...
So for the benefit of the home audience, 2 lines available in each county, 990-9352 in Hillsborough, 461-9352 in Pinellas. In essence, it's really just to get it off your chest kind of day, or, get it off your chest about me, or talk radio, or, whatever, even, the great Favah. No one is exempt. The key is, well, I'm not even going to go into what the key is. You guys have been playing along fantastically. Off it is now to Bradenton. Hi, Braid. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
This is Don in Bradenton. I'm a constant caller.
A constant caller.
I got locked into you about 1.5 years ago, and I had never listened to talk radio when you were in PLP, and I called you one time, and my call was free. And I followed you from PLP to WFLA, and now I got 3 radios in the garage, out back, and in my dining room, and no matter where I go, even if I'm in the garden, I can listen.
We have a lot of people listening in the garden, I feel.
I know. And now, I know one thing. My second call to you at WFLA was when I tried to help you out with muffin on the car, and I wrote a little poem. So I know I'm on a tape somewhere you have, and you're not going to throw that away.
Well, actually, we sent the tape to Iowa, but they won't throw it away.
But they won't throw it away.
No.
Well, that's good. I really do enjoy...
Obviously you remember the show. Do you realize that my sister-in-law, who was here visiting us that week, and she's the one that took the tape back to Iowa, to the best of my knowledge, they have still not played the entire tape for my mother-in-law and my father-in-law because it might be a little bit rough for them?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I listened to the whole program, even, the part that I called in on, and I don't think that would be the case.
Well, we enjoyed there were two poems, and we enjoyed them both. I'm not sure which one was yours, but I know that there were two, and they were both fantastic.
My name Don will be on one of them, and I'm sure of that. I just wanted to call you today because listening to you for, like I say, I'd never listened to talk radio before, and I have a lot of young children, and I've got them off of 95 and all the other stuff, and if they're going to work in my garage, they're going to listen to talk radio.
Hey, we are going to put together a television commercial, a little animated commercial that says when you've outgrown the worm, tune to 970.
I can honestly tell you, these guys are 20, 21, and 22 years old, and they are loving talk radio.
Whoa, Michael is actually now balling up paper and throwing it at me.
Yeah, but I listened to Michael, and I've been retired. I'm 58 years old now, and I retired when I was 42.
You don't have to give us your age.
I was retired when I was 42, so I haven't worked for 17 years. And the other day when you were talking about getting a bicycle, I thought I have a 100-foot boat dock on Manatee River just off of I-75 bridge.
Oh, it'd be a great place for, Muffy to take 200-foot walks, huh?
No, all you'd have to do is buy yourself a canoe.
100 down, 100 back.
Buy yourself a canoe, bring it down, and you and Muffy can go canoeing up and down the river, and that's your exercise.
You think I want to get into a canoe with somebody that sits around and says things like, no! No way.
I was going to call you the other day when you were talking about the bicycles, but believe me, I listen to every program that you're on. And, in fact, sometimes I wake up at night and I turn it on, and I kind of like the way they were doing it instead of, when they got rid of TalkNet. But I do listen to your program, and I'm glad you had this program today because I think...
You're going to give it to me first. She'll probably be on the John Eastman show tonight just ripping me to shreds for that one.
There are moments, there are those of us who can't afford to get things off our chest.
I know. So let's make it off yours. Okay?
And off yours, too.
Hey, thank you.
First of all, I received correspondence from you today. I'm Debbie from Palm Harbor.
Ah, okay. You got the letters. I wish we got them out last week, but...
Oh.
Last week was strange.
No problem, because so is it here. However, I want you to know...
Sophie really enjoys that picture.
Oh, I'm glad.
Okay.
I want you to know that my cat, her cat box, will enjoy your letter, too.
Whoa, hey.
I figure if you can do that for Sophie, I can do it for the kitty.
Well, for the benefit of those listening who did not enter the Lassiter in your living room contest, what the young woman is referring to is I sent out letters... day before yesterday, I guess it was, to all of the people who unfortunately were not selected. And, of course, Debbie, yours was a personal letter, and yours was nothing like any of the others. I told Debbie that life was cruel and that sometimes things happen that shouldn't happen, and we were very disappointed that her house was not selected. And, of course, all the other people, we said, hey, wouldn't have touched yours with a 10-foot pole.
Well, I want you to know you've done me out of $10,000 worth of remodeling. I had to get that living room together, and now my husband sees no reason to do it.
Oh, bummer.
Oh, you know it.
Well, how about if I mention on the air that, the reason we didn't select yours is because we were, really afraid to bring the crew out there that, with the fungus coming off the walls and the cobwebs. And the strange droppings. I'm not sure what they were.
Why do you think the man travels?
Yeah, well, hey, look, just do it while he's away.
There you go, and charge it, right?
You got it.
Good.
Schumann.
What was your card? Oh, Schumann, okay.
Did you say Schumann? Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
We'll just wait until we get to the lyrics so we firmly establish what we're doing here.
Old man rhythm is in my shoes. It's no use of sitting and singing the blues. So be my guest, you've got nothing to lose. Won't you let me take you on a sea cruise?
Oh, okay, now you can have the time back.
Oh, you're so good to me.
Thank you. Well, you were so good to me. You mentioned that word.
Oh, I see.
You mentioned the S word.
So sorry. I just wanted to let you know
You do know what the S word is, don't you?
I think I guess.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say it again.
Oh, all right.
I want you to know I started listening originally because I am acquaintances with a previous employee, whatever, at the radio station. And I listened to her show and heard about Lassiter and thought, well, I'll give this jerk a try. I hate you, but I listen to you constantly.
Well, thank you.
And I don't call more often because I have a toddler, and I want you to know it's going to take me 3 weeks to make up for the damage he's done just in the time I've had to wait now to talk to you. If I did this more often, God knows what would happen here.
I thank you very much.
So,
gotta run.
Have a good one.
Okay, you too.
Bye.
Bye. Welcome back. 11 and a half minutes after the hour, 5 o'clock. Fifth and final hour. It is the fifth and final, isn't it? They're not going to make me work anymore, right, Michael? Okay, fifth and final hour.
Ted Webb's looking a little pale here. What do you know about sports?
No. I know that
Ted's voice is
Phillies,
cracking a little during that.
I don't know if I'll be able to work tonight at 6 o'clock, Bob.
Oh.
Yeah, the beads of sweat on his forehead. He looks like he's coming down with a little
Sally.
fever there.
Is Sally okay tonight?
Not when I talked to her this morning. She asked me if I could go a couple of extra hours tonight and work for her, and I told her I didn't think I could.
Oh.
Oh, God, I'm feeling bad.
And too bad Ted Carreras left on that vacation for the Bahamas.
Give me some water.
Okay, we'll see what we can do.
Miserable, good for nothing. You guys find this amusing, I think, don't you? Anyway, fifth and final hour for this Friday, the 21st day in the month of April, 1989. Live studio audience. Most of them paying a little closer attention than they were the last hour. Hey, plenty of tasty cakes there. Help yourselves, guys. We got lots of tasty cakes in the studio, of course, courtesy of the Tasty Cake people and the Clearwater Phillies. And, hey, we're just kind of doing what we can, doing what we do. There is one line available. It is in Hillsborough. The number is 990-9352, 990-WFLA. It's a more or less get-it-off-your-chest program, unless you find that to be a sexist remark, then, maybe it's get it off your back. Tampa, you're on the air at no, it's not Tampa, it's St. Petersburg. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Well, hello, Bob.
Hi there, Tim.
Hey, thank you. That's as close as I'll ever get to good. I'd like to thank you for the tickets out there to the Renaissance Festival.
Well, okay.
You and Princess Muffy looked stunning. I could tell it was Princess Muffy. She kept saying, no, I don't want to go over by the drumsticks. Get away from there, go.
Yeah, that was her.
This next thing I'm bringing up is for McHenry, because this is something that he's got to look forward to. The other night I asked my wife of 15 years if she wanted to play Yahtzee. She had a headache.
Are you serious?
Yeah, she had a headache.
Oh, it's just a fine game. It's just a little noise from the dice. Isn't that bad?
No, I don't know. She just
you're not kidding. Do you mean she suggested maybe going on va-home?
No. Well, no. God, if you can't get them to play Yahtzee, you think you're going to get va-home?
Well, yeah, a lot of women, to get out of Yahtzee will do that.
Well, it could be. I mean, tonight when she gets home, I'm going to say, here, hon,
hey,
got a couple of Tylenols for you.
Michael's making notes in there now.
Huh?
Michael's making notes in there now.
Well, maybe McHenry could try, if he ever runs into this, when the wife gets home, you just say, hey, have you got here's a couple of Tylenols for you. You say, what are they for? I don't have a headache. You say, oh, tonight's the night. Let's play Yahtzee.
Hey, you leave me virtually speechless. I don't know what to say.
Well, maybe I'll try the magic wand bit tonight at the party at the stadium. I don't know.
You're going to the party at the stadium?
Hey, McHenry's great. You're all going to be there, right? No money for the parking or nothing?
Right, yeah, we're all going to be there. All of us.
Oh, yeah, right, okay, and
whole
probably
town.
some foxes.
I mean, you guys are going by the party at the stadium after the show, right? Yeah, they're going too.
Oh, boy, this will probably be more fun than the horse.
On very well. That's you and I, the audience. And, I lectured you guys for about 40 minutes about all the things that you've been doing of late that have just been driving me up the wall. and decided to let you pretty much have the same opportunity in return. There are, let's see, 1, 2, 3 lines available. 2 of them are in Pinellas, 461-9352, 461-WFLA. That is astonishing. You wouldn't expect in Pinellas County with all of those, all those gabby old women and old men who are just like old women. You wouldn't, I guess they're probably eating or something. A lot of them do soak their teeth at this. You're right, Michael, do soak their teeth at this hour of the day. So there's one line available in Hillsborough at 990-9352, 990-WFLA, and it started to twinkle as we speak. Off it is now to Tampa. Hi, Tampa. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Uncle Bob has gotten the family back together again.
Well, I'm trying, Tampa. I'm trying.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. You've been trying for a while, Bob, and you finally hit the button. And it's a great button that you hit. Everybody seems in such a good mood.
Isn't it disgusting?
It's fantastic.
I mean, no one's been called a subhuman pig.
Bob, let's just hope that we can carry this feeling and this mood that everybody's got into some sharing of ideas coming days. What do you think?
Now you're starting to scare me.
I think we can do it.
This almost sounds like END. This love fest.
Well, today, it's getting a little mushy, but I tell you, just the fact that it's being able to be carried and people are still into it. They were all out there, but I think we were all, second guessing what was happening and things. We've
got to get this damn thing back on track here.
Exactly.
This talk radio, not just the station, not just the show, but talk radio. We've got to get it back on track. We have slipped, and it's our fault.
It got a little watered down, Bob. Yeah, that's what you're saying. And you brought a little spice today, but let's just hope that we can carry this to some sharing of ideas in the same vein that everybody is in today. But let's just discuss some topics. I mean, frankly, everybody seems in a good mood. The callers, you, your audience, Michael answering the phones, Don,
Michael?
Gary, Ted, everybody seems in a great mood. And it's fantastic. It really is. So let's just carry on some sharing of ideas. I do have to run. But I'll be listening in the car, Bob.
Thank you very much.
Take care, all right?
Take care. 28 minutes after the hour of 5 o'clock. Palm Harbor. Hi there, Palm. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hello, this is Madeline. This is the first time I have ever been on a talk show. We don't have this at the small town where I'm from in Connecticut.
Where's that? What town?
Groton, Connecticut.
Okay.
And it was quite an experience. I was in my car this morning, and then I went to cash and carry. I didn't get there early enough to get one of your shirts, though. At the Oldsmar Cash and Carry?
Oh, that was a lie anyway. That was just getting people to go out there. There actually weren't ever any shirts.
There were, too.
No matter what time you showed up.
I saw people with them.
Sure, they were our employees.
I saw people with cartons of them, and I saw people walking away with them.
Really?
Yeah, really.
They always tell me when I go out on remotes to lie to the people and say, I'm sorry, they just gave away the last shirt.
Oh,
and they really had shirts for him?
I saw some people with them.
Damn.
Yes, I did.
Unbelievable. Well, if that's how you have to get an audience, okay.
Anyway, I enjoyed your show. It's, as I say, this is the first time I've heard it. One other thing, though, why do you keep people on the air so long?
I don't normally. This is a different type of show. I mean, I'm suggesting to people today that they may wish to critique or criticize, and consequently, were I to blow them off much quicker, it might be perceived as I didn't want to hear what they have to say.
Uh-huh. Well, that's probably true. As I say, I've been trying to call all afternoon, and the line's been busy, but it's an experience, believe me. And I'm going to keep listening to your station and call again.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
And the next time, that they say they're going to give away shirts, we'll make sure that they really do.
Well, they gave them away, but I just happened
Are you sure those boxes were full?
Well, they were shirts sticking out at the top of them, and I saw somebody putting...
Yeah, but the rest of it could have been filled with tissue paper, because it's my understanding that what they did with the T-shirt budget this year is they pretty much eliminated it to make room for the lunch budget for people in management and programming. That's what they kept telling me.
Well, you check with the people who were with that remote truck. As I say, I didn't get close enough to get one, but I saw several people with them.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Don Richards standing by at the WFLA News Desk. Donald?
Results are in from an election involving Tampa Spring.
Oh, it's got to be one of them. Oh, I'll take my chances.
Am I doing the talk station this time?
It's
the guy on the talk station?
Stand by for a WFLA Paul Harvey report. Paul, are you there?
No, this is Bob.
Paul?
Bob, 540, Bob. Traffic. Excuse me. It'll be on the log at 540. It's actually 541:48 right now.
Well, hey, it's not my fault. It's the news department. Did you hear him? Yankety yank, yankety yank.
What do they? I mean, what do we care about news?
Exactly. We're all waiting for the Paul Harvey report.
If that were the case, they'd call us News Radio.
Hey,
no.
So here's Gary McHenry with the rest of the traffic.
Page 2. Traffic along 49th Street North and...
Oh, I would love to take you all out to dinner tonight. I really, really would. I would take you to Calb's Cove. Of course, where else? Because Calb's Cove is a very special place. An awful lot of restaurants, tend to look like other restaurants and have the same kind of boring, dull menu, but that is not the case at Calb's Cove, and I wouldn't tell you that if it was not true. I would recommend that you start off with a baked almond brie. It's a little wheel of brie, and, it's perfect for yuppies. And it's served with fresh fruit, and I love it. I just absolutely crave it. And it's what I would recommend to you, although some other people might want to try the stuffed artichokes or the oysters in the rough. Of course, there is the Caesar salad, not to be missed, made right there by your table side. The chicken supreme is a distinct possibility, especially if you're trying to cut down on the calories. There's the Captain Harry, that's the fresh grouper, the shrimp, the scallops, all sauteed in garlic with lots of fresh mushrooms. And then, of course, the flambe dessert. Strawberries Romanoff is my favorite. Calb's Cove. And then there's the piano bar. You got to stop in the piano bar after dinner and join Carl. Calb's Cove. Intimate dining, professional service, and yet it's never, ever, ever stuffy. Calb's Cove. 13155 Gulf Boulevard in Madeira Beach. The telephone number 393-3448. Coming up on the 28th of this month, their 4th anniversary. I'll tell you more about that as it comes closer. But, hey, you don't have to wait till the 28th. You can go there tonight. Luce, you're on there at 970 WFLA.
How can you talk of food with somebody that just went on a liquid diet, Bob? First time I ever called you and I had to follow that.
You're on a liquid diet?
Yeah. Just started.
Are you doing it through the hospital?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because I have done those and...
Well, they're going to put me on it starting Monday, but this is kind of a preview.
Oh, you are in for so many treats. There are things that you haven't thought about yet, because I've done liquid diets. There are things that you haven't thought about yet, things that really shouldn't be discussed on a family program. But, boy, when you start going back on solid food and asking some parts that you ain't been using for a while to start working again, they tell me it's quite similar to giving natural birth to quadruplets.
You all heard, Bob. I really did call you on a serious note, but that just seemed to fall in. I said, how?
You think that's not serious? You wait. You wait. It's gonna be the most serious thing ever happening in your life. I mean, we're talking about noises like, oh! Yeah.
I think your studio audience would boo that. I really do.
They haven't heard
think
it
you're
yet.
being
It's coming
very
up.
bad.
Wait a second. Here it comes for them.
Okay. I have listened to you ever since I came into the market, and I found you on PLP. I worked afternoon shift, and I still do. But you are very good for the area. You are very excellent. You're very...
It's amazing. All the old people, when I first came here, they used to write to the Chamber of Commerce trying to tell them that I was very bad for the area. I recall the first time I did a brain-damaged snowbird show. I couldn't believe this. We got the director of tourism, I guess it was, for Manatee County, called up on the air just screaming and moaning. And I started, telling her about all the phosphate pits in her county and why why they weren't on the brochures. She called back. It was... People didn't used to think I was good for the area.
One of the shows I really liked that you'd done over there was the old Arby's show.
The Arby's show?
Yeah, you were supposed to be doing a remote from Arby's.
No. That was Bob Evans.
Was that Bob Evans?
Yeah, it was the Bob Evans.
I'm sorry, I thought that was an Arby's.
Well, actually, I guess we could do one from Arby's, but no, we did that from the Bob Evans. That was a hilarious aftermath on that show.
Yeah, I remember. I just got the names wrong. But anyway, the only criticism I have of you is, and maybe with getting all these crank callers off, because I can understand how your temper is shortened because of getting the continuous cranks that you've been getting. It has been mentioned earlier today, but I wanted to also say that you have seemed to cut off people that normally before I don't think you would have cut off because they were trying to present a legitimate point.
Oh, to hell with whether or not they were trying to make a legitimate point. They were good callers.
Yeah.
Good for the ratings.
But unfortunately, the screamers and everything else has taken over. But
Glad to say today, I don't know how you done it or whether you just didn't get them, but the show has been excellent. I really think you should do Ted Webb's 2 hours tonight.
Get off my phone, you subhuman listener. Unbelievable. Michael, you've got to clear these much, much better.
I'm sorry, sir.
Do 2 hours for Webb. What, and talk, Danny again? And the Animal, and NASCAR Dan, and
Tom in Tampa?
and Orrin from Texas, and Island Estates. Hi, Island. You're on there at 970 WFLA.
Bob.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen McHenry honestly report from the air?
I've only seen McHenry about 4 times.
Okay.
And it might be 3.
Well, you guys get me laughing a little bit this afternoon because back several years ago in Philly when we first started doing the air report.
Yeah, the Atlantic Go Patrol.
You got it. On certain bad days when we couldn't go up, we taught the guy how to shake his throat to simulate a vertical rotor 1-to-1 that would sound like he was in the air. And I wonder sometimes if McHenry isn't sitting in a bar room making reports.
Well, yes, except, of course, times have changed since then. What we did is we went out to one of these adult stores and we got a vibrator.
You got it.
And on the bad days, Gary sits there holding the vibrator next to his throat.
Okay, I believe it, because that hot air balloon, I don't see it over the Courtney Campbell. I keep looking for it. I don't see it.
And, of course, one of the problems is Gary got so fond of it that we had a very difficult time getting it away from him, getting him back in the plane.
The tenor for today's show, I was going to...
You want to call into the newsroom? Oh.
That's great. What I wanted to tell you was that this past week I had a...
Don't pay any attention to that, sir.
Okay.
That's Cuban interference.
I'd love to see how it goes down there with these guests that you have. But what I wanted to tell you...
Wait a second. You want to come in... You want to come in and watch the audience?
No, just watch the show that goes on there in the studio.
Oh, okay.
I think it's terrific. Now, let me tell you this little story, because this was very funny. This past week, I had a plumber come in to do some work, and he came in the house about 2:45 in the afternoon. He had his toolbox in one hand and his radio in his other hand. And he apologetically asked me if I minded if he turned the radio on while he was working. And I said, no, go ahead. So he flipped it on, and it was your station. And he said, Bob comes on soon. I said, no kidding. Bob who? He said, Bob Lassiter. And I said, oh, yeah, I've heard about that guy. He said, he's terrific. He said, I'm waiting for when the ratings start again. I said, well, what's that mean? He said, well, when the rating time comes, he must get 100 people an hour to call him, and he just chews them all up. But when he doesn't do that, it's a great show. And I said, no kidding. So I said, let me show you something. I went into the bedroom, and I turned on the radio, and son of a gun, it was WFLA. I went into the living room, I turned on the radio, it was WFLA. I said, now let me show you the best place in the world. I went into my bathroom, turned on the radio, and it was WFLA. I said, I've got 3 tuned, and if I took you outside, my cars are tuned over to WFLA. He says, is he for real? And I said, of course he's for real.
At that point, let me break in, because we certainly don't want to give out that information. And on top of that, you know who's standing around up there, waiting to do his traffic report.
Okay, well, it was nice talking to you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Don Richards will be introducing Gary McHenry this hour. A memorial service tomorrow, Sunday afternoon. Right, I'll be practicing tomorrow afternoon. I will be throwing out the first ball at the Jack Russell Stadium, and I don't know how this is going to work, because I've not thrown a baseball, and I do not know how long. And remember, I've been complaining about the sore shoulder. That's the truth, and so that's Jack Russell Stadium. It may be even more interesting than seeing me walking around in a silly costume. And if I'm not here on Monday, then you'll know what happened. I threw my arm out. Host choice, is that what you're trying to tell me here? Host choice, yeah. Thanks a lot. St. Petersburg, this is a good one. St. Petersburg, you're on there at 970 WFLA. Home of the stars, in particular the magnificent Lassiter, where you can call up and voice your opinion. Okay, St. Petersburg. Let's try Safety Harbor. Hi, Safety. You're on there at 970 WFLA.
How you doing, Bob?
Oh, great.
I'm not doing too good today. I heard a giggle earlier, and I thought I heard it before. I think an employee of mine might be there today, and he didn't have permission to take the day off.
Oh, no, you're kidding.
Would there happen? I heard you take roll. Do you think you could do that again? I'd like to catch that name.
Well, I put all that stuff away. It's in my briefcase already. I try to make a quick exit.
Dan Marshall ring a bell?
Dan Marshall. No, I don't remember that name being shut up. I don't remember that. I'm trying to save your ass. I don't remember that name coming up in the roll call.
Well, Bob,
not one of your smarter employees, is he?
Huh?
He's not one of the smarter employees, right?
No, a regular, typical bag boy.
Yeah.
But I think what you should do in the future, the people that come in, you should have them get a letter of permission from their employer. I'm gonna have to lay him off now.
No, he's not here. He was with his sick aunt this afternoon. Yeah, that's where he is. Yeah, he's with his sick aunt. Didn't he call in to tell you that?
Yeah, well, he called me that he called in today and told me he didn't feel well, but we did have a bar chair from the employee lounge taken, too, and I kind of figured that all, it all fell together.
A bar chair from the employee lounge?
Yeah, would there happen to be one there today? I hear him laughing in the background, Bob. I think I'm on the ball today.
I mean, he wants it back? Bar chair? No. Why would you say that?
No. Well, I thought I had it all put together today. You won't be lying to me, would you, Bob?
No, I'm not Lionel, sir. I'm Bob Lassiter. Lionel is on 9 to noon, Monday through Friday.
Okay, well, Bob, I think you should get
Glad to help you out, though, on that one. Lionel, 9 to noon, Monday through Friday. I'm Bob Lassiter. I work, whenever they ask me to. Sometimes I come in at 1, other times I come in at 3. Whenever. I'm just easy to get along with. People say I'm not easy to get along with. That is not true. It is not true. Ted Webb doing the sports huddle for a change. I tell you what's really amazing. Webb in here doing the sports huddle. See you again on Monday. God only knows what time.